Hello, my name is Teresa King, and today we're going to talk about ethics, the history of those, and how they affect us in recreation and in tourism, especially ecotourism. So first today we're going to talk about the history and how humans became to actually understand their ethics, and then we're going to talk about how those ethics affect us in recreation, tourism, and especially ecotourism. So to talk about how we come to understand our ethics, we look to Maslow's theory of human needs, and he theorized that when people are more satisfied, they tend to look at the lower needs and meeting the lower people's needs opposed to the upper class. And so that brings us to a debate of what's universally right, and then what is actually satisfying our personal needs, just helping people. And so there's that continuum. So on the one side we have trying to actually support people and actually surviving and taking care of our family, and then the other continuum we have kind of an economically driven need, so to make money and to be the best. And so that continuum brings us to the question of the variety of ethical decisions that we're facing today. And so to understand how our ethics came to be kind of starts with evolution, and biologists argued that Homo sapiens, so humans, have kind of crossed an evolutionary threshold that separates us from the lower animals. And they kind of break that down into a 3-step. So first we were able to consciously understand our actions and know the consequences of our actions, helped us make good judgment, and that helped us to choose different courses or different actions that helped us survive, to help us survive and change our course of actions to best meet our needs. So the biologists kind of argued that Homo sapiens, or humans, have cross the evolutionary threshold, and that's probably because of some things that separate us from the lower animals. Some of the things that separate us is kind of our rational thought process. So we're able to understand our actions and their consequences. With that, we're able to make sound judgments, and we're able to change our actions so that to help us move on and help us evolve. So we can move from that berry picker to the Stone Age of what the author stated to our space age today, because we understand our past actions. And that kind of leads us to the receptacle altruism, which kind of describes that how we've passed so that leads us to our reciprocal altruism, that kind of talks about our past motivations in working with a community and a group. So in the past we had a tendency to cheat through things, but when we came together as a group, we started to increase cooperation. So it was more about this cost and benefits. So I would do a favor for you or for another member in our community in exchange for favors that I'd need later on. So in the past, what those communities looked like, they have been very small, very dependent of one another. And the communities were very predictable and not likely to change. So that's why we could rely on that cost and benefit relationship. There wasn't really much forces acting on our community. But now that we are out of the Stone Age and into the Space Age, there's a lot of things to think about, the interactions between two communities and so far. So with that though, even though we're interacting with communities differently, our hardwiring and instincts haven't really changed. So even though today we are in a more technological and innovative society, our brain still thinks the same. So our brain still wants solidarity and also altruism. So we want to be working together and have that give and take relationship. So that is important for tourism, because tourism is a very short period interaction or relationship. So you go to a business and that interaction is very small, and so they don't always care about that give and take relationship because they know in a couple weeks or after this trip they might never see you again. And that goes same thing with the communities and the different environments that we're in, that since it's such a short period of time, you can't have that give and take relationship or that cost and benefit relationship, which can be harmful because then you can be damaging the environment you're in or affecting that culture. Which kind of brings us to what ethics are. So ethics are usually the rules or standards in which kind of motivates us. And so you hear a lot about in businesses a code of ethics, which are kind of your moral values that your organization lives off of. And those ethics usually also represent the society's values as well. So again, that cost and effective and cost and benefit relationship. So in society now and in communities, we often see that people care about the disappearing species, but they don't actually care about or always care about the extent of the others' experiences. So those communities we're involved in. And so it's important that an organization, so in this instance a guide service, it's important that it's important that they create ethics in which it is going to represent the taking care of the animals, the natural environment, and then the people that are in that area as well.